I'd like to tell everybody to dream big and to believe, because dreams do come true. And today, I'm very humbled that one of my dreams has come true.
Watson takes a snap, rolls right, looks into the end zone. Hunter up the caught it! Touchdown! 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 With a second left.
It's intercepted, and the Tigers are going the other way. A.J. Terrell with a pick six. Lawrence took a peek downfield, had a lot of room, and breaks a tackle, and is still running. Lawrence in a foot race. Will they catch him? Touchdown, Tigers!
Booker. Shot. Chase Hunter tries to shoot. He's back. And it goes! Chase Hunter! And one! Pitch. And this one hammered high, deep to right, way back, and out of here! A grand slam! Seth Beer!
He's in the lineup, but he has been a game changer. This one's out to center field. It is deep. It is gone! Oh, my goodness!
Welcome back to the Walk On Podcast, where we talk all things Clemson sports while also examining the landscape of college and sometimes professional sports. And JT, we're back on campus this week.
We're back, man.
Right before exam week.
Oh, yeah.
JT's feeling hard right now. I'm not, because I'm not even actually a college student, really, truly, at heart. So, but, I mean, last night, JT, I was out till maybe 1 a.m. in the morning. Got
crazy.
A big result in Little John last night. Number 4 Kentucky came to town.
Oh, yeah.
And the Tigers and Brad Brownell handed them their first loss of the season.
Dude.
And the ACC's only win so far in the ACC-SEC Challenge.
Nick, tell the people how early you came to wait in line at the stadium.
That game, it was a 9:30 tip-off, and I was at the stadium at 6 o'clock in the freezing cold outside.
Crazy.
Couldn't feel my fingers, nothing. It was rough, but it was worth it.
Dude.
We got I think, a 10 out of 10 court storm at the end of the game. I mean, it was great. They were on the court quick, and I thought I was going to die in the middle of it. But it was a great game. One of the best performances I've seen Ian Shefflin put on outside of a shooting perspective. He got 20 rebounds, which is the first time a Clemson Tiger has had 20 rebounds in a game since 1999.
Come on.
A long time ago. But I mean, this Tiger team just look built for the moment. Their defense has really carried them so far this season, and it's what propels them to these big victories against these teams that like to play fast. JT, you weren't there last night. That's right.
I was not there last night. I'd like to apologize to the basketball team. I just didn't really feel all that confident in a game, and so why would I go sit and wait for a game that I think was going to be a disaster? And so that's my philosophy, and I'd like to take this time to apologize to Brad, apologize to Clemson basketball, because we are a basketball good program. We got a good program at hands. Brad Brownell's got these boys going, so super pumped for a dub there. Nick, I wanted to ask you how the environment was, man. Was this the loudest you've ever seen Little John, or what?
I think it is. I mean, I've been to a lot of Little John games, a lot of big games, and thinking about this one, I mean, Duke 2 years ago was really loud. UNC, was it last year? Or maybe the year before, was loud. But I really do think this is the best environment I've ever seen in Little John. And the actual fans that were there that had actual tickets to the game, it took them a little while to get there, but it filled out. There was a little bit of blue in there for Kentucky, but they were not very loud. But, I mean, these Tigers, man, they're just different. Kentucky, they're a really fast team. They like to get out and score, kind of like Penn State does. And Clemson shut both these teams down. I mean, it's their defense that really carries them. All 5 of their starters almost had double digits in scoring for Clemson. No big guy really stood out. Jaden Zachary made some big plays down the stretch, but he only ended the night with 13 points. And Ian Shefflin and Chase Hunter combined were 6 for 28 from the field, and Clemson won by 4 points still.
Yeah.
I think that's showing a lot from this team and how mature they are.
Yeah, this squad was it's delightful, right? The hustle from Ian Shefflin, to capture over 20 rebounds, just something you don't see every day. And so this fight from this team, I love the way that Zachary played last night. He really showed out, and that's really the key factor with this season. How it's going to be. Will Zachary play up to speed? And if he does, we're successful. And so last night he definitely did, and we found a lot of success.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to shout out Miles Foster, too. He only played 9 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
But it was a great 9 minutes. Probably the best 9 minutes he's put on all season. And it might just be because he's playing Kentucky.
Yeah.
Because last season at Illinois State against Kentucky, Foster put up 20 points and 15 rebounds against the Wildcats. But, I mean, this Wildcat team it's a good team. And this team most likely will be a top 3 seed in the tournament, without a doubt. I mean, they're a very deep roster. They have a really good first-year head coach in Mark Pope, but they could not get it done they could not get it done with Brad Barnell on the other side.
Yeah.
Man, it's just his defense, man. I want to hit. I'm a big criticist of Brad Barnell, but I think I need to owe him a little bit of an apology. He's really turned around this program in the past 2.5 years.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly. And I think it's really because the way Brad Barnell runs his program in a Power 4 conference is so much different than how any other program does it. Like this Kentucky team, they're going to have a bunch of one-and-done players. Yep. They're going to have a bunch of one-year transfers. And then Brad's going to sit there. He's going to develop somebody for 3-4 years and then play them and teach them how to play hard-nosed defense. And you don't really see that hard-nosed defense played in basketball nowadays. I mean, everybody wants to be Steph Curry. They just want to step back, shoot threes, not plenty defense, kind of like the NBA. But I mean, Brownell kind of shuts down these people that think they can play ball that way. Yeah. So I think that's what makes him so successful. And we'll see how it goes later on. Got a tough one coming up with Miami that we're going to hit on in the preview after we can get done recording the review here.
Yep.
But the big win last night, and this is the type of win that gets you into the tournament.
Yeah, it was a good win.
Great win. But moving on to Clemson football.
Yep.
Something I'm not really so excited to talk about.
Dude, honestly, man, it was a good day on Saturday. I'm going to say it's a good day on Saturday. I'm going to continue to say that because we have been given another chance. Now,
our third opportunity this season.
This is our third opportunity now. So this means for this ACC championship is that a lot is on the line for Dabo, for Clemson. But I'm just sitting here in confidence. I don't fear SMU. So I don't know what your take is, but I think Saturday, if I reflect back on it, it was really, really hard from like 3 o'clock to, 5:30, 6 o'clock. And then we started getting some hope from Syracuse, and sure enough, we were granted another chance, another swipe at it. So I consider it a good day. Yeah,
I'm just like I just said, this is Clemson's third chance this season with the ACC championship, but this South Carolina game was their second chance. Clemson kind of was in control of their own destiny up until the Louisville game, and then you lose a night home game. You get obliterated in a night home game, and one of the worst losses I've ever seen, honestly, as a Clemson fan at my young age. And then some chaos happens around us. We get ranked just one spot out of the playoff, and a home top 15 win would probably secure an at-large bid. Yeah. I mean, most likely, seeing how things have went. And another time Clemson's fallen, so they're 0-2 on controlling their destiny so far this season. But they've been gifted another chance. So, I mean, we can't let it down, and we'll hit on the SMU game in the preview. But, I mean, this game was just gut-wrenching. Like I've mentioned to a lot of people, and I mentioned to JT walking in here, that I think Clemson outplayed South Carolina as a whole. Outside of Lenore Sellers, I mean, South Carolina didn't really have much for us. I mean, we shut down Raheem Sanders despite a couple big runs. Their receiving core didn't really do much. We forced 3 turnovers. But, I mean, it was just missed opportunities for Clemson that really gave South Carolina this win. Clemson did not trail for 59 minutes of the ball game, and then Lenoris on that 3rd and 16 from about the 20-yard line just takes off and takes the lead. And Clemson's even putting on a drive late to come and maybe set up for a field goal or score a touchdown with some great passes from Cade, but then it was a drop ball, but not a good decision anyway to dump it off to Maffa. That ball gets just batted up and South Carolina catches. But it was just gut-wrenching. I mean, It felt like I mean, just straight up pain, honestly.
I think the reason you touched on this a little bit that it was so hard is because in the past, when Clemson loses these kind of games, we can just like point the finger at somebody and say we suck,
Yeah.
and sit down and just lose faith. The thing about this team in 2024 is that this team does not suck, and this team is a good football team.
Yeah.
You know, we have good coaching, we have good players, we have a great defense, a great quarterback. And so this team doesn't suck. And so we can't sit back and just point fingers anymore because that's just not – it doesn't make us feel better because there's not really a finger to point to. I think South Carolina outplayed us. I think South Carolina outcoached us. And I really only mean that really in the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
We really outplayed them the entire game. And they fell into – their game plan fell into the back of one player, and usually when that happens with Clemson, we shut them down, right? But this, I mean, I got flashbacks and glimpses of back when Lamar Jackson came and just ran all over us in Death Valley not too long ago. So stinks that it turned out the way we wanted it to, but we really do have a chance to prove. I mean, Dabo said himself, people would hate it if Dabo somehow found his way into the national championship. I mean, people won't like it, but it's very possible. So we're not going to lose hope, and I'm clinging to it.
Yeah, I don't know if national championship is very possible, but if you get in the playoff, you don't know what's going to happen. You really don't. But this game is just like, I mean, JT said we have good coaching. I'm not sure if we do. Honestly, Sammy Brown was the most productive player on the field the entire game, and he played meaningful snaps in the first half. But for some reason, in the second half, you saw his playing time diminish.
Yeah. As
Clemson went back to their 2 linebacker set for absolutely no reason.
Well, there's a reason is because South Carolina came out the field in the first half with 4 receivers. So we had no choice but to throw another DB in there, leaving us with only 2 linebackers. And so I think South Carolina really came out with a game plan to pass it. Clemson was prepared for that. They brought in the guys, but when Lenoris dropped back to pass, he just would run around and run forwards and make a Lenoris Sellers play. And so there definitely was a reason why Dabo pulled Sammy. Was it the right move? No, I don't think it was the right move. And I think if we were to leave Sammy in there, maybe eliminate a safety, maybe more man-to-man coverage, that could have gotten us further than we've gotten. But that was what Dabo said in the press, is that they came out with 4 receivers ready to pass it. So we had to be ready to defend that, and it just did not work because any pressure the Lenoris got, he just took off and ran. So I don't know what Dabo's. I mean, I don't think it was the right decision. I'm not defending him, but that's what the reason was. Because I was frustrated about that, and I had to look into it myself to figure out why Sammy was pulled. So if that gives you any insight, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, I know why they pulled Sammy. I knew it was because of 3 receivers or the 4 receiver set. But my thing is, like, Clemson's linebackers, I've been saying this all season, between Sammy, Barrett, and Wade, it is your best position group on the team, starting-wise. You're most athletic. I mean, you tell me Barrett Carter can't line up and guard a slot receiver, or Wade at least a little bit good to where Sammy's on the field. And once you see Lenoris running all over you, I mean, I feel like you have to play Sammy. I mean, honestly. And then in the fourth quarter, Sammy gets no snaps. He does not record one single snap, and South Carolina scores 10 points in that quarter. Is that really a coincidence? I don't think so. I mean, if you see 3 quarters of 7 points and then 1 quarter of 10, I mean, it's ridiculous to me. And then Clemson came out, and Sammy's on the cover of their ACC championship game preview.
Yeah.
So if Sammy's not on the field in the ACC championship game unless it's an obvious throwing down, like 3rd and 16, 2nd and 20.
Yeah.
I mean, if he's not on the field, I'll throw a riot. Whether or not I'm in Charlotte or not, I'll be up there by the end of the game if he's not on the field. But, I mean, he's been the most productive player, I think, on defense consistently all season, and he's barely played. He's 4th in the team in total tackles, 2nd in sacks, and he's probably played 30% of the snaps that these other guys around him have played. And even Sammy ended the game leading the team in tackles and tied for the most in sacks and almost the most TFLs as well in this contest, despite barely playing in the second half.
Yeah.
It's weird to me. I don't know whose decision that is. I don't know if it's Wes, the defense coordinator's Wes Goodwin's, or Dabo's. I'm not sure, but even Dabo said it's not the best decision at pregame or postgame, which makes me think it was Wes's decision. But it's just weird to me that Wes would take him out, even though Wes has proved himself to be a 3 linebacker guy up to this point till this season. So it's just weird. And just one more thing I want to hit on. Phil Maffa, I mean, he's he's clearly hurt. I mean, he's running like a completely different running back than we've seen to start the season or last year. I mean, I think he's probably 60% healthy right now, to be honest with you. Yeah. And it's weird to me that we're still giving him 20 carries a game despite the fact that he's barely running the football. Like, he can't do it.
Yeah.
Like, there was he missed multiple holes on Saturday, and and he's normally been good and patient at hitting the right holes at the right time. So I don't know if he's missing the holes because he's hurt and doesn't want to just line up with a linebacker and go head on, and he'll rather just take his 3 yards and get down. But Jay Haynes touched the ball twice, and both times was more electric than Phil had in the entire game. I think going in the AC Championship game, you gotta branch out and give carries to other people, man. Yeah, you have to. Like Clemson, the strength for Clemson used to be a deep running back room. Even when you had Travis Etienne, I mean, we always got other guys in there. Lynn J. Dixon, Feaster when he was with us. I mean, we still got him in there because we have a deep running back room. Mm-hmm. I think we have a talented running back room right now, even though they're unproven. But they're unproven because the coaching staff hasn't given them the opportunity to prove themselves. Yeah. So that's got to be a change for me going into this AC Championship game, and hopefully the rest of the season.
I think we'll get that change. I think Dabo will adjust, and hopefully, I'm not saying, Haynes is going to play more than Phil Moffitt, but I just want to see him touch it more.
Yeah. I want him to. Almost split carries. Yeah. I mean, give Moffitt maybe 12 and Haynes 8. Yeah. That adds up to 20, which is what Moffitt had last game. So, right. But really going into the AC Championship game, I'll hit on it in the preview, but I'm going to go ahead and say it. I want to air raid offense. Cade Klubnik's playing great football. I don't care what anybody said. So many South Carolina fans saying Lenore this, Lenore that. Cade, had more total yards than Lenore did. And nobody talks about Cade running for 60 yards and 2 touchdowns to keep us in the game and throwing for 280. And that pick's just a little fluky pick. I mean, you can't even really count it, in my opinion. But he's playing great football. He's one of the best pure quarterbacks in the country right now, whether nobody wants to say it or not. And that's where Lenore needs to improve going forward. Just hitting on that as a South Carolina fan. But, congrats for them for staying in the game and winning it. But Clemson didn't take advantage of turnovers and just some bad situational play calling that really ended this game. It felt like Clemson should have been up at least 24-7 in the third quarter, to be honest with you. Like, it kind of felt like the Florida State game last year that Clemson just couldn't take advantage and couldn't get away, and you let one slip. Yeah. So that's all I really want to say about that game. JT, you got anything else? no, South Carolina's done.
I'd rather be in the playoffs than win the state. So that's my opinion.
Yeah, you gotta play good to make up for this loss. But freshmen played great. I just want to say that one more before we move on. Yeah. Thought T.J. Moore and Wesco were great. Hampton did pretty good in coverage. Got to work on his tackling a little bit, and obviously Sammy has been fantastic. And also, one more thing, the O-line did their freaking job. Yeah. Only let up 1 sack, and they sent 8 guys almost on that sack, so I don't even really count that one. So, but they did great. Need another good performance this week. Yep. Because SMU's got a great pass rush as well. But moving on, talk about the ACC a little bit. Obviously, Miami lost. We got some hope. Clemson in the championship game.
Come on.
SMU continues to take care of business, and Fran Brown needs to quit his job at Syracuse and come work at Clemson.
Dabo said he'd be in the parade if Clemson were to go to the Natty.
Yeah, I know. That's the only reason I want to see us win the Natty.
That'd be awesome, dude. Yeah.
I want to see Fran Brown in the convertible with Dabo.
Absolutely.
He might be the funniest coach in America right now.
Dude, the way he just I don't know. He is hilarious. He said the preseason too. He'd beat Dabo one-on-one in basketball.
Did he say that?
He said that preseason. So during a ACC network show, he said they got on the topic of talking about basketball. He says he loves to hoop. Says he'd challenge Dabo and beat him any day.
That's funny.
And so, I didn't take this as a shot. I kind of was confused, but at the end of the day, these coaches love each other. It's all love.
Who do you think would win in a one-on-one? Dabo plays a lot of basketball.
Dabo is older.
I know he's older, but
probably Fran. Sorry, Dabo.
I don't know, man. I think Dabo's got a little bit in his bag, to be honest with you. Yeah. But I also want to shout out Duke, man. Mm-hmm. Nobody's talking about Duke right now. Mm-hmm. Duke's finishing 9-3 in their first season with Manny Diaz, despite some close games, and they really should have an upset victory over SMU. Some fluky stuff happened there to get SMU that win, but
they lost to Miami,
SMU,
and who else? Was it Georgia Tech?
Let me look.
I think it was Georgia Tech. I have Duke ranked in my rankings. I have them right at 25.
I think they should be ranked.
They're impressive to me, and I've seen people compare Duke to Alabama. The losses that they have, these teams have, and they look somewhat similar. I mean, to an extent. What's it look like over there?
I'm trying to find it.
Yeah, I mean, I respect Duke. I love Malik Murphy.
Yeah, Duke lost to Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech, okay. I love Malik Murphy. Georgia Tech's a good loss. I mean, Georgia Tech's a good team. So, really, they should be ranking and talking more about Duke. Just nobody is. You know how it is.
Yeah, I think Duke's better than Missouri.
Oh, 100%.
Absolutely. I mean, absolutely better than Missouri. People crap on Miami's kind of knock. We'll hit on this when we're talking on playoff, but Miami's knock when in the ranking is their best wins Duke.
Yeah.
So, but I think Duke's a good win, to be honest with you. I think they would have given Clemson a little bit of run for their money if Clemson would have saw them.
Oh, yeah.
But moving on, the ACC doesn't have much to talk about because it's going to come down to that championship game with Clemson and SMU that we're going to talk about in the preview. Moving on, got the SEC. SEC had a little bit of a weird week. Just a tad bit. That UGA in Texas is set with the Texas win over A&M. That game was not very fun to watch, in my opinion. Ended 17-7. But this Georgia Tech game on Friday night went to 8 overtimes. And honestly, I thought somebody got the call on the sideline and made some communications with some refs saying, hey, Georgia can't lose this game or else they have to win the SEC championship game. Yeah. Honestly, did you see that missed targeting call that forced that fumble?
I did not. When was it, in the fourth quarter?
Yeah.
Okay, I started watching with the game in overtime, so.
Yeah, I watched the whole game, and I mean, Georgia Tech outplayed them.
Yeah.
I mean, easily. Haynes King is a freaking dog. I mean, he's just, if anybody's ever played NCAA or College Football 25, you know what happens when your quarterback gets on severe. He's just minus 25 overall, and that was Haynes King. His whole body was red. But there's a forced fumble. Georgia Tech kind of blew the game late. There was a forced fumble that I thought was a clear targeting. The safety had his helmet, crown down. Whether or not it was straight on the football or not, that's not the rule. The rule is if you hit the player with your head down, then it's targeting, and they didn't even look at it. So, a little questionable there.
Yep.
And a questionable pass interference late, right before Georgia scored that game-time touchdown. The ball, I believe, might have been tipped at the line, which means there's no pass interference after a ball is tipped.
Yep.
But they didn't. I can't remember if they looked at that or not, but they decided that the ball was not tipped and that it was PI that was led to a Georgia touchdown. Just a little. I mean, it's just weird, man. Honestly, especially looking at this Clemson South Carolina game. I didn't talk about the refs, but I thought it was the worst ref Clemson game I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I mean, just two bad missed calls. A catch that got overturned right before halftime that could have led to a Clemson field goal. Yeah. And then Clemson was driving to start their second drive in the third quarter, possibly to go up by 2 scores. And Clemson tries to run a trick play for some reason. And Maffa apparently fumbles, even though his whole body's on the ground, as he's throwing the ball backwards with full possession of the ball because he throws it backwards, and they called it a backwards pass. But
I thought he was down for sure. I do like the call. I mean, I'm not gonna discredit them for trying to be creative. I do like the creativeness, but they just gotta execute.
Yeah, I mean, just weird. But just definitely a ref show a little bit with some SEC games this week. But yeah, it's weird to me. But Georgia Tech, man, they're kind of putting the country on notice. I think they're on the rise. Brent Key, he actually recently flipped a Clemson commit. Big safety commit, top 60 in the country, I believe. His name's Tay Harris. And he's flipped some other guys, but Georgia Tech's on the rise, man. It's gonna be hard to beat them in a next year or in a few years. Brent Key, he's the guy there. Yeah. And then staying in the SEC, I mean, A&M, what a way to fall off and end the season, man. Are they even still ranked right now?
No.
I was about to say, I don't think they're in the rankings.
They shouldn't be.
But, I mean, that's kind of pitiful to their end of the season after so much hype after beating LSU. Just weird endings to the season that caused all this chaos that got everybody talking.
Oh, yeah, it's cool to see, man, because I think, it's funny how Mike Elko has transitioned away from Duke, but I would argue that Duke would probably beat Texas A&M with where they're at.
Oh, I don't know.
I think they will, and
That's
I think
a hard one.
it's backwards because Texas A&M has gotten so much recognition, so much praise, so much of this and that. But I think Duke would beat Texas A&M.
It'd be a good game.
I would love to
They
see
ought to
it.
match them up in a bowl game.
They should. That'd be
You
awesome.
know, you might not get the actual game because
Right.
you see
Opt-outs.
a bunch of opt-outs, but that'd be nice to see actually.
Yeah.
And speaking of A&M, their backup quarterback, starting quarterback to start the season, Connor Wegman, has recently entered the transfer portal. Mm-hmm. I don't know who would want him, to be honest with you.
He go group of 5 probably.
You think so? Mm-hmm. I think he stays in the Power 4. Surely somebody will take him. Auburn.
Oh
Somebody
heck
like
no!
that.
I don't think he stays in the SEC.
Really?
But
you
I
don't think
just-
Vandy take him?
No.
I don't know. It'll be interesting to see where he goes and
Yeah.
how he
You gotta
perform-
really want him if you I don't know.
how he performs going forward, because a lot of people, I didn't think he was very good coming into the season, but I didn't know their backup. But just an interesting way for him to leave the program after getting benched for Marcel Reed, despite their lack of success anyway. But I just want to ask you right quick
Yep.
before we move on from the SEC. We obviously saw the committee's rankings that we're going to talk about. It went with these 3 schools, or I'm gonna say 4. I'm gonna add Miami into this.
Okay.
It went Bama, Miami, Ole Miss, South Carolina. How would you rank these four schools?
I need you to rephrase the question. Are you asking me who right now is the best team or who deserves to be in the playoffs?
No, I'm not. I don't care about best team, deserves to be in the playoff. You rank them. You just tell me what their ranking is with their resume. Because we're not talking about best teams right now. Because that's an argument a bunch of South Carolina fans have made, is that they look the best, like the best team in the country right now.
Yeah.
But why play the games in September and August and October if we're just going to care about November?
Yeah.
You know, like you can't lose other games and then complain later on that you're finally playing good, carry it into next season, and win games in August and September and October.
Of South Carolina, Alabama, Ole Miss, and Miami.
Yep.
Of those 4 teams, last I have ranked Miami.
So Miami, yeah, okay.
Second
Miami's
to
fourth.
last, I have ranked Ole Miss.
No.
Third to last, I have ranked Alabama, and I've got South Carolina. They sit at number 12 in my polls. I have Iowa State way shot up high, and so I have South Carolina sitting at 12 in my rankings, my personal rankings. They sit behind Arizona State and in front of Iowa State. So those are my rankings. Do I think South Carolina should go to the playoffs? No, I don't think they should. I don't have them in my book, but their losses are just way better than Alabama and Ole Miss's losses. I just can't forgive an Oklahoma blowout. I can't forgive a Kentucky loss. And so that's my reasoning. I know head-to-head really matters, and it's funny. I always stand by that. But,
Yeah.
dude, oh, my goodness. You cannot lose to Oklahoma by 21 points and then expect to be still ranked in the playoffs. I don't see what the committee sees with that. I think if Clemson lost like that to Oklahoma, we would be expelled, and you know how that would go. But
Yeah, JT, I'm gonna be honest with you. I like that you said you wouldn't put South Carolina in the playoff. However, you do have them high in your rankings. Mm-hmm. I completely disagree because head-to-head is everything. If you have the same record, you play in the same conference, then head-to-head should be everything. Lane Kiffin's kind of been out and about on Twitter these past couple weeks trying to, fight for his team and his playoff opportunity possibly. But I just want to read what the paragraph. I don't know if he wrote this. He posted it. I don't know if he wrote it or if he just screenshot it from somewhere. But obviously, after all the chaos, there's possibly one more spot in the playoff, and all 3 SEC teams that are 9-3 are fighting for that spot, including Miami. But I'm gonna leave Miami out of this because it's not in this post.
okay,
Right? South Carolina. This is what it says. South Carolina lost to both of them, and their best win is against Clemson. Ole Miss and Alabama both have their best win against Georgia. Georgia beat Clemson 34-3. Safe to say South Carolina is out, and it's between Ole Miss and Bama. Ole Miss has 9 wins, outscoring their opponents by 296 points. Bama has 9 wins, outscoring their opponents by 252 points. In Ole Miss's 3 losses, they were outscored by 13 points. And Bama's 3 losses, 33. And the common opponents both beat Georgia. Ole Miss won by 18. Bama won by 7. On a last play miracle touchdown, I must say. Both beat South Carolina. Ole Miss won by 24 on the road. Bama won by 2 at their house. Alabama beat LSU by 29. Ole Miss did lose to LSU by 3 in OT. However, Ole Miss beat Oklahoma by 12, and Alabama lost to Oklahoma by 21. And it says at the end, clearly, Ole Miss should be in the playoff over Alabama, but Bama is the bigger brand and more likely will be in over Ole Miss, which is exactly what happened.
Sounds like Lane Kiffin won your heart, bro.
He did win my heart. I told you, I've been fighting for Ole Miss all season. I said a couple weeks ago that we picked teams in the SEC that we were going to stick with, and Ole Miss is my team. And I think in this collection of teams, I think they're the better team, honestly. Now, losing to Kentucky, that's a bad loss, but Florida is not the same team that they were at the beginning of the season. They're not even close to the same team they were at the beginning of the season.
I mean, you could say that about Georgia beating Clemson, you know?
What do you mean? About Georgia not being the same team?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe, but...
And I thought that wasn't one of your arguments. You don't like when Gamecock fans say that, you know?
I don't, but it's a difference when you have a different starting quarterback.
Yeah.
Like, you have to look at the the A&M thing. Like, if South Carolina would blow out A&M, I thought it was a good win because you played Marcel Reed. If Connor Wegman would have played and you blow him out, then I wouldn't care.
Yeah.
Because Wegman's not a good quarterback. But, I mean, quarterback's everything. And Lenoris is playing good football. But Lenoris played against Ole Miss. Lenoris played against Alabama. And the thing with South Carolina and that Bama head-to-head, I could maybe look past that one since South Carolina lost by 2 on the road. Mm-hmm. You know, home teams are really given 3 points in the spread. That's like how Vegas creates lines. They normally give the home team 3 points. They spot them.
Yeah.
So you can kind of say that game went South Carolina's way if you give Alabama 3 points. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like almost a toss-up. But Ole Miss went to South Carolina and demolished them. Mm-hmm. So that's my thought process for it. I do not agree with what the committee put out last night. I thought their overall rankings were good.
I don't.
But that little correlation of what is it, 11 to 15 or 11 to 14? Yeah. I hate it.
I don't like how high Ohio State was. I think there were 6. Makes no sense to me.
Really? Okay, moving on. We're getting to the Big Ten.
It's great.
You don't like that pick or them that high because they just lost at home
to their rival,
to a pitiful,
horrible dude
Michigan team, 13 to 10.
Yeah.
But Ohio State did miss 2 gimme field goals in that game.
It's on them.
Which is funny that that Ohio State has a $20 million roster and can't buy a kicker.
Yeah.
Like why'd somebody forget to buy a kicker?
Yeah, it's funny. They got Ryan Day as in shambles.
Oh yeah, he doesn't even know what happened at that game. Have you seen him post game?
Yeah,
just staring off into space.
So he goes, "What happened?"
Yeah.
I don't think highly of Ohio State. I do not like them in the top 6. I think there's a trend going on. We talked about it with Alabama, but these teams with big brands tend to have superiority over teams who actually deserve things. And back to the topic of these 4 teams we were discussing earlier with the SEC and Miami, I think if Clemson beats SMU, all those teams should be knocked out. And I think all of them will be knocked out.
And SMU should be in.
Yeah, and so, I mean, as much as people hate Clemson and they don't want to see Clemson in the playoffs, I'd rather, I don't know, not see Alabama in the playoffs who've lost to Oklahoma by 21 points. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't like Ohio State. I don't like how they're ranked that high. I don't like this rankings. One of the worst ones they've dropped.
Who would you put in front of Ohio State? Like, where would you have your rankings?
In my rankings, I have Ohio State at 8. I have them in front of Indiana and behind SMU.
SMU's in front of them. Yeah. And Tennessee's in front of them, too?
Tennessee's in front of SMU at 6, and then Georgia at 5.
You talk about Ohio State, but I think Ohio State has a better resume than Tennessee does. Like, I think you're ranking them 8 just because of, I mean, I don't want to say recency bias because they did just lose, and it's hard to get that out of your mind.
Who did Tennessee lose to?
Arkansas.
Okay, Arkansas and who else? Georgia?
Georgia.
Okay.
Yeah, but who did Ohio State lose to?
Oregon
and Michigan.
Yeah.
But Ohio State also has 2 top 10 wins.
Yeah, I mean, that's true.
One being on the road at probably, I don't want to say the toughest place to play, but definitely a top 5 tough place to play in Happy Valley.
I just don't want to reward a horrible loss.
No, I understand that, but I mean, it's almost like if Notre Dame, let's say this, Notre Dame is undefeated, but they play NIU in week 14, and they lose. What would you do? They would drop them.
Yeah.
But like, imagine that game wasn't in week 2 and it was the last week of the season. It's just the way people look at things. But either way, Notre Dame should still be in, just because of how everybody else looks around them.
I think Ohio State will be in. I think they deserve to be in too. I didn't say that.
Ohio State?
Yeah.
I think they deserve to host a game. They have 2 top
that,
10
dude.
wins. I hate it too. But if you look at the overall resume and not just last week,
Yeah.
then
It's
they have
so weird
They have
because
a better resume than
College
Tennessee
football,
does.
dude, has changed so much in this year. Like,
Oh, I love it though.
3 lost teams, don't even mention those. They're irrelevant.
Yeah.
You know, but here we are discussing 3 lost teams, and losses matter a lot more, and I don't know.
And the committees, obviously, they showed that they value those 2 big top 10 wins.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't understand how you look past that. Tennessee's best win is Alabama, and after that, I don't even know who. Like, I don't think their schedule is very tough. Let me pull it up right quick.
They beat Florida close. They beat
That's what I'm saying. They beat
Vanderbilt.
Florida in overtime with Graham Mertz.
Yeah.
Or Graham Mertz played 4 quarters of that game, and then that was the game he got hurt. Yeah, Tennessee's best other win is Oklahoma, in which they beat by 10 points.
I'm rocking with Tennessee, bro.
Tennessee over Ohio State.
Yeah.
Nah, that's crazy. I disagree. I can't.
I don't want to reward a horrible loss. I mean, I know Tennessee has
a horrible loss.
It's just when it comes down to I mean, the big game, the rivalry is such a big game, and if Ohio State can't win that big game against a team that's not even good, I mean,
Yeah, I understand that, but I look at it like I understand it's a big rivalry game, but you have to look at it as a rivalry
so
game, and
frustrating,
anything
bro.
can happen.
there's not 12 deserving teams in this playoff. I don't know if there ever will be 12 deserving teams.
No.
And that's what makes it so frustrating because I don't want to see teams in it that don't belong in there. Not saying Ohio State doesn't belong in there, but a lot of these teams don't deserve a postseason race to the national
No,
championship.
Clemson for sure doesn't deserve
Absolutely
it.
not.
Clemson's the least deserving team here, and they
Absolute-
might get a bye.
I know, and it's so weird, but
I love it though.
it's awesome. It's a change up. I like it.
People hate on it so much, but I think there's I don't know how many deserving teams in the country. I don't think Texas is deserving.
I think Texas is deserving.
They haven't beat anybody. A&M's their best win. It's horrible right now.
They're better than Penn State. Better than
I don't know if
Notre
they
Dame.
are.
Notre Dame ain't played nobody. Notre Dame.
That's what I'm saying. Like you just said you're gonna punish bad losses. Notre Dame lost to a MAC school. They're
That
the
might
only-
got 11 wins.
Okay, but still, you lost to a MAC school at home. What's worse, losing to
That's why I
Michigan?
got them at 4.
Losing to Michigan? Yeah, but that's high. Losing to Michigan or losing to NIU?
I ain't gonna rank Ohio State above Notre Dame, dude. No chance. Because if I
Ohio
do that,
State has 2 top 10 wins.
if I do
though.
that, I'll have to rank Ohio State above Penn State, which would put Ohio State in the top 3, and that just makes
No, I
sense.
wouldn't put Ohio State above them either, but I'm just saying, you're talking about the diminishing bad losses. I'm playing devil's advocate here.
Yeah.
I have Notre Dame high in mine. Higher, but we'll get to our predictions. I want to talk about the Big 12 right quick because we
Let's do
haven't even talked about the Big 12 yet. But
Who
there's an
cares?
opportunity. Facts. There's an opportunity for Baylor to make the championship game. It did not happen,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But Arizona State, Iowa State set. Colorado demolished Oklahoma State.
Yep.
Kind of gave their final push for Travis Hunter to win the Heisman. And I think he will win it. Even though I think JT is probably more deserving, maybe. I
agree.
I don't know. This is a hard one.
Yeah, I think Gene T definitely deserves it more, but they're gonna give it to Travis.
Yeah, but why did Kansas lose so bad to Baylor? I'm kind of shocked on that
I think
one.
Baylor wanted it more, honestly.
You think this was Kansas bowl eligibility game.
Bowls are. I mean, yeah, you're right. Bowls are less significant than they used to be.
Oh, yeah,
they
absolutely.
still matter, I think, but Baylor just had, I mean, playoff hopes on the line still. Technically,
Yeah,
technically.
that's funny.
So if you put it that way, they're gonna go harder. And I think Baylor's really talented. They've won, I think, 7 straight, 6 straight.
a lot. Their quarterback was really good the other day.
So yeah, I'm pleased with them.
You know, a lot of people. You said that bowls don't really matter anymore, and they don't.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the way the bowl games look is they don't matter for the casual fan anymore.
Yeah.
With all these opt outs, but like I kind of like seeing what teams have to offer after these opt outs because it's kind of like what you're gonna see next season.
Yeah.
Like USC last year, I was high on USC coming into the year because of how good Miller Moss performed in the bowl game last year.
Yeah.
Now that didn't work out, and he's benched now, and now he's in the portal, which is funny. But I kind of like seeing that. I like seeing Clemson's defense last year against Kentucky, and it was horrible, which has kind of set this year up.
dude,
You
yeah.
know, honestly, because the defense, Wade Woodaz graded as a B the other day in a press conference. I would probably grade it as a C+ so far this season.
Mm-hmm.
But still some opportunity to make up for that. But the Big 12 is going to get one bid. I mean, Arizona State, Iowa State. We're going to hit on that in the preview. I want to move on here. I don't really want to talk about the Big 12. Our records last week, before we go back to the playoff rankings and our rankings, I kind of slipped it away last week. I kind of sold.
Dude, believe, bro.
I went 7-5. I'm now, JT went 10-2. I'm 7 games back now.
Think so.
I mean, there's some hope here still, maybe.
Yeah.
We have to go crazy on this conference championship week in the playoff, but whatever bowl games we pick, I'll have to select those with whatever ones I want to pick.
Yeah.
I want to get to our playoff predictions, our final playoff predictions. So we just saw the playoff rankings last night. I want to remind everybody what that looked like. Mm-hmm. This is just the rankings, not the seeding. Oregon was 1, Texas 2, Penn State 3, Notre Dame 4, Georgia 5, Ohio State 6, Tennessee 7, SMU 8, Indiana 9, Boise 10, Alabama 11, Miami 12, Ole Miss 13, and South Carolina 14. And then you got the Big 12 teams in the play-in at 15 and 16, so they'll get a bid. And then Clemson sitting at 17, still possibly with a bid. But those are the teams still fighting for a shot, maybe. But the chair, Ward Manuel, last night said that teams that are not playing cannot jump each other. So within this week of them thinking and doing it, they're saying that they're not going to rethink Ole Miss and Alabama. Mm-hmm. So Bama is in the playoff if SMU wins on Saturday. They've already said that. Miami can't jump them. Ole Miss can't jump them. South Carolina's stuck where they are because they said teams that aren't playing cannot move up. Mm-hmm. Which I don't necessarily like that, but
yeah,
I guess it's true though, because it's like, how are you gonna randomly put one team over the other after you haven't seen them play? Mm-hmm. So, but whatever. You want to give your final prediction. So this is what you think the playoff is going to look like.
I think for Clemson's game, I think a really important game is Arizona State, Iowa State. Mm-hmm. I think if Iowa State beats Arizona State, I could see them getting that 4th slot, assuming Boise State beats UNLV. Yeah. I could see Iowa State getting that 4th slot, which would put Clemson probably 12.
Yeah, it would be 12.
It would be 12, which that can kind of stink. We would probably go against Notre Dame.
Or Penn State.
I would probably rather play Penn State, but
absolutely.
That's where that puts us. And
so you have Clemson at 12?
I don't have them at 12. I'm just saying if Iowa State beats Arizona State. Now I think Arizona State's going to beat Iowa State, and I think Clemson will beat SMU. So I actually do have Clemson in the 4th spot. Oh yeah, I have Clemson in that 4th spot. I have Boise State in that 3rd spot.
So you have us jumping the Big 12 champ.
I do, and if it's Arizona State, I do. Arizona State has 2 bad losses.
What about Iowa State? You think we still jump them if they
Iowa
win?
State? See, they have some good wins. They beat Kansas State.
Yeah, but they're ranked below Arizona State right now.
Yeah, I don't know.
See, I think we jump the Big 12 champ no matter what happens. If we win, we jumping them.
I don't see why they would make us jump.
Because they're beating the number 7 team in the country.
I guess.
Or number 8 team in the country, wherever SMU's at 8. That's why.
My final picks would be probably Oregon, Texas, Boise, Clemson.
Okay.
And then the 5th team would be Arizona State.
5th conference champion, you mean?
Conference championship, Arizona State, yeah.
Yeah, so they would slide in at 12.
And everybody else would be in there in the middle, yeah. So that's kind of what I think is going to happen.
And you have SMU staying in.
Dude, it can go a million different ways with these conference games. Like, I just feel like that's probably the most likely way.
Yeah, the most chalk.
But I could be wrong. We'll see what happens.
And you have SMU still in, right?
Yeah.
If they lose.
Oh yeah.
So Bama's out.
Oh yeah.
So none of that group we just talked about is getting in.
I hope Clemson wins.
Yeah.
For that reason.
I mean, I got some spicy takes here.
Let's go.
Oregon's win at beating Penn State.
Okay, I thought you were about to pick against them.
No, let's be for real.
Okay.
Oregon's beating Penn State.
Okay.
Georgia's gonna beat Texas.
Okay.
Georgia's getting the 2 seed.
Mm-hmm.
Clemson will beat SMU.
Okay.
That's kind of a spoiler for the preview, but whatever. I mean, we knew what we were picking anyway.
I know. Come on.
We got hope. We knew. And then we got, I think, Arizona State's probably going to end up at 4.
Mm-hmm.
So no Boise in the top 4.
Okay.
And the reason I have, if Clemson wins, the reason I have them jumping up to 3 is because ACC, I saw that the ACC has been propaganding for these teams to get in.
Oh, yeah, big time.
Big time. And they even they tweeted out the other day, if Clemson wins on Saturday, they will make the playoff and get a bye. Like, that's literally what they said in their post. And I'm like, oh, whoa, that's not guaranteed.
Yeah.
But maybe it is guaranteed. But I think we jump the Big 12 champion, no matter what happens with Boise. I think Penn State will be 5. I don't think they're going to punish them for losing in this conference championship game unless they lose by 30, which maybe they do, and maybe they do get punished for that. But I think Penn State will be 5. Texas 6. Because, I mean, you're really dropping them below Notre Dame for losing the conference championship game. I mean, they would have lost to the same team twice, which maybe that's why you punish them a bit, but I don't know. I have Notre Dame 7. Ohio State at 8, Tennessee 9, Ole Miss, SMU 10, Indiana 11, UNLV at 12.
Sleeper.
Big time sleeper, but it's like JT said. These lines for these conference championship, the spreads are like almost just pick'ems, honestly, for each one of these games.
You don't think that the committee would keep Boise State and UNLV?
No, there's no shot.
Dude.
They're not putting 2 Group of 5 teams in this playoff. There'd be a riot. Who would they put out?
Bama.
Bama's not in mine.
Okay.
UNLV would have to win for Boise to stay in. Then who would you putting out? Indiana?
Let's say in a hypothetical world, SMU beats Clemson, and then UNLV beats Boise. Who would get it, Boise or Bama?
How about as Boise lose to UNLV? 2 scores or
7 points.
7 points. I think it should be a conversation, but I don't think it will be.
Who you got in?
Who do I have in?
Between those 2 teams.
But this is me or the committee?
Both. What do you think?
I would put. Oh, this is a hard one. I don't think Bama should be in anyway.
I agree.
But I think Ole Miss should be in, but not over Boise.
Yeah.
Boise's got. I mean, they would be trading with UNLV at that point, so you can't even really count that loss since they've already beat them. I mean, you can, but it's hard to. But that's a good question, actually. I think Boise deserves to be in because they only lost by 3 points. They lost on the last-second field goal to Oregon on the road, and they have struggled in the past couple of weeks, but whatever. They're still getting wins. Wins are wins. So that's a good one, actually. But it's like you said, anything's going to happen this conference championship week, and we are going to preview that conference championship week coming up. This episode's about over. If you want more information about Clemson sports specifically, check out the Walk On blog, www.the-walk-on.com. Go give Clemson.fans a follow.
Wow.
Daily Clemson information, just some easy stuff. But I think that's it. That's it for the review from last week.
Heck yeah. Shout out Eric Bakich. Followed the Clemson.fans today on Instagram.
No, he did.
That's my guy. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. We love Bakich. Can't wait for baseball season.
Come on.
But we'll catch y'all in the next one.
Let's go.